The 5 members of 80s hitmakers Spandau Ballet have been in Belfast to promote their forthcoming show at the Odyssey Arena. The band, which has sold 25 million albums worldwide, announced earlier this year that they were getting back together for a UK tour, which comes to the Odyssey Arena on October the 14th. While in Belfast, brothers Gary and Martin Kemp had a chat with Belfast Telegraph TV. Guys, welcome to Belfast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Obviously you're here to promote the upcoming tour, and I understand that's kicking off in Ireland, isn't that right?
Yeah, we start in Dublin on October the 13th at the O2, and we come up to Belfast to play the Odyssey on the 14th.
And you've played Belfast, obviously, first time round. Can you have any memories of those gigs? I suppose there's been that many in the past.
Oh, the biggest memory has to be, I think the last time we were here, which was 86, in the Through the Barricades tour.
King's Hall.
Yeah, in the King's Hall, when I think it was the first time that we'd played Through the Barricades, the track Through the Barricades, to a Belfast audience. It was fantastic. It was one of my favourite memories of being in a band.
Yeah, I mean, it was always a great crowd here, always. And obviously, you know, having written a song that was inspired by this city, you know, I think we all felt quite nervous about playing it in front of them. You know, would they feel patronised? You know, what do these guys know about the way we are? But it wasn't like that. There was total validation that night for that song, and it's a memory. I mean, I have specific memory of a guy on someone else's another guy's shoulders that evening, crying his eyes out, singing every lyric. For me, it never will go away.
Where did the inspiration, obviously from Belfast, but any particular incident sort of inspire it?
There was a guy called Kidzo, whose brother played in Stiff Little Fingers. He worked with us for a while, and he was killed here in the city. And Jim Riley, his brother, took me to see his grave and walked me around the town. And so I think that was an inspiration, you know, that little walk I had through the city that day, to write something that was, you know, hopefully it was about both sides.
Guys, whose idea was it to actually get back together? And we know there had been some times in the past where maybe the band members weren't saying eye to eye, but that's obviously all water under the bridge now. How did it all come together?
Well, do you know what? It wasn't really one person's idea. It wasn't, you know, Gary's or mine. I think we'd all reached a certain age, and we'd put different experiences, life experiences, behind us. And I think what it did was it kind of puts everything into a perspective, and you realise what's important and what's not. And we've kind of all felt at roughly the same time that now was the right time to move on, to, you know, when you're in a band, being in a band is your hobby. It's not a job. It's not like going back to an old job and being embarrassed about doing it. It's about just bringing out your personality. That becomes part of you, your hobby.
I was going to say, you've such a big, you know, back catalogue of strong songs. It must be great to be actually playing them live again.
You know, that's why we got back together, because and that's what bonded us, because we'd made something that was so great, so fantastic, piece of pop history. You know, we were one of the biggest bands in the world, and you know, for the 5 of us not to be talking was sort of felt really ridiculous, you know, because we also felt young enough that there was more in this tank, you know, and I think the hardest thing was actually just meeting each other for the first time, because of all that takes, you know, your fear and your ego. Once we were over that, God, we cut to the chase. We were playing live again. You know, we were back in the rehearsal studio making a big sound. And the great thing about this tour is we haven't got to make an album and do all that studio stuff. We're just going to go straight out to do the thing we all love best, which is playing on stage.
So the initial rehearsals have all been, I mean, how long have you actually been sort of playing?
The first thing we did before we announced the tour was to see if we could play together again, and the 5 of us got in a room and for a week, and I think we mopped up about 20 songs that week.
Yeah, I think this is the most exciting tour we've ever done, by far. This is the first time we've ever gone out and we've played wall-to-wall hits. It's every hit song that we ever had, 20-odd songs within a 2-hour show. We never did that type of show. We always did a show that was based around the new album. So you'd always have kind of like 6 or 7 songs that no one really had heard of, unless, you know, apart from the diehards that have been out that day to buy the album. So this is exciting. Yeah. This is the first time we've ever done a greatest hits show.
And this will be the last chance to see that, of course, because because if Spandau Ballet go back out again, hopefully it will be with a new album. So if you want to come and see all the hits on one night, this is it.
Great. And of course, guys, what sort of music have you been inspired by just since you were around the first time? Any particular type of music or any particular bands you're fond of?
What, that inspired Spandau in the first place?
No, since the first time around.
What music?
Yeah. Who do you sort of?
I think I like the Killers. I think they're great. Contemporary band, and MGMT from America. I think are good. I still love. I'm still mad about Bowie. Mad about the boy.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, what did I buy recently? I just downloaded the whole of the Bowie collection, which I love 70s rock.
Yeah, Mott the Hoople. I can't wait to come and see them.
Mott the Hoople is the gig I'm looking forward to in the year.
And if the Faces get back together, I'll be there. I mean, listen, you never fall out of love with the bands that you first bought in those formative years. They're the ones that stay with you forever, and hopefully a few of those people will feel the same about us.
I was trying to show my boy Mott the Hoople the other day, and he didn't understand it.
No, they don't get
it. It made, I drive home sometimes. I've got Mott the Hoople on. It makes me cry. It's fantastic stuff.
Do you remember the Saturday gigs?
We do. Yeah.
And guys, the acting's taking a bit of a back seat then at the minute.
Well, right now it's Spandau Ballet. Yeah, actually, this year is mad. There's so much going on. I think it's going to be Spandau for a while.
How did you fancy, take to the acting from heading out of music and sort of going in that different direction?
Acting was something we were sort of trained in. Really, Martin and I both did acting as kids. Did quite a lot of work as children. So,
but do you know what? I honestly think it's all the same deal. I don't think there's much difference between being in the band and being on screen. I think what we do over here is that we try and separate everything. In America, what they have is this big bubble. It's called entertainment, and you're allowed to go from one to the other. And that's what I like to think of being in, is this thing called entertainment that we produce things that other people enjoy, and I think it's the same deal. I don't think there's any difference.
Showing off, it's called, basically.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch with the EastEnders crowd?
I don't, to be honest. It's a funny thing because acting is very kind of, you create really transient friendships. You're best friends with people for a short amount of time, and then you move on. I think the best thing that's happened about going back into this band is that we're back in friendships that mean something.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think when you're doing a film or a play, it's like a dysfunctional family. I have to say, even though we did have 20 years of the history of being rather dysfunctional, I think this is really functional now. I think we're all back here feeling very, very comfortable to be with each other and wanting to be with each other for a long time. He's got hay fever.
I've got some hay fever.
He's allergic to your microphone. It's furry.
Well, listen, guys, it's been a pleasure to chat to you, and I wish you every continued success with your future plans, and we look forward to seeing you in Belfast in October.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.